Yarra Bend. This is another narrative about ethical budget management, but slightly differently. We're getting a lot of clients who want us to design their final house. So they want to age in place and they want to die there. And that's the brief that we get a lot of the time, and not for a number of reasons, including the fact that we have elderly people that are terrified of our terrible aged care system. Last year we finished Terracotta House, which had almost exactly the same brief. An elderly single woman that has a budget, a good budget. Zero earning potential in the future was what was really pressed upon us, and zero lending capacity. So Jane, like Belinda last year, Jane came to us and said, I have 1.1, I might be able to stretch to 1.2, but after that my quality of life suffers. So a good budget. And her brief, anything beyond that, I just can't do it. So help me, guys, help me. She wanted independent living. And then as she got older and older, she wanted to age in place until her death. And she wanted sustainability to be as sustainable as possible, not least to fight climate change, but also so she had really low ongoing running costs. Beautiful house in Clifton.
You just
a great area. Like drag the new and the very different one back of the.
Sorry, just a moment. Just a moment. Sorry.
You're glitching, Andrew.
It's
Can
just
you go
broken
back?
up the last sort of 30, 40 seconds or so. Can we step back to the previous slide?
Yep.
I wonder if it's our end.
Andrew, can you hear us? I think it's on Andrew's end.
It's not just your end. It's breaking up for me as well.
Oh, Andrew, back.
Hey, there he is.
No worries, Andrew. I've paused the timer. Yep.
Cool. Where do you need me to start from?
A few slides back.
Andrew. Go back. Go back.
Any more?
Can you hear us? Yeah, go back.
Yeah. So go back.
That's the first slide.
Well, the change slide. We just lost you with your change. So
just before you change this one, that's where we got to.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, I've been ranting for a while. Am I sounding stable now?
Much better.
Yeah.
All right.
We've got this
the
one.
new meeting room's a bit of a. Okay, you heard about that? So aging in place.
Yep, got that.
Okay. Cool. So we had a similar brief last year for, well, we finished a house last year for Belinda, single elderly woman living on her own, and zero future earning potential, zero potential to lend money. Jane is in a similar position, but not a bad budget. 1.2, I can max out at 1.2, but prefer 1.1. I want independent living. I want to age in place until I die. And I want it to be as sustainable as possible so that it's not just about the climate crisis, but also it drives down my running costs in the future. Gorgeous little cottage in Clifton Hill, a beautiful part of Clifton Hill. As we do with all of our alts and ads, we pull the new and the old apart so that they have their own sort of discussion. We never crash the new through. There was an extension that was done in the 80s that was really lightweight, falling to bits, thermally very poor. None of it was salvageable. So we removed that. At the original front room, we cut into two so that she has a study space. She's very well connected with this community. She's lived here for a long time. So she's constantly waving at people and chatting to people from her study space where she does her crafts. Then there's a bathroom, guest bedroom, and then the new part of the house, kitchen, living, dining, facing to the north. And then, interestingly, she wanted an external laundry, so she sort of forced her to wander through the garden to do the laundry. Upstairs is her bedroom, ensuite, and her sitting choir room. So that's one big shared space where she part of her brief was that she actually has choir that come over every now and then. So it's great getting photographs from clients how they use the space. So and I got told the acoustics were brilliant, which is great because we have no idea about such things. And the neighbours loved it as well with the doors open. So that's the independent living model, but then it can transition into an aging in place model where Jane can just live on the ground level. So the bathroom becomes her ensuite, the guest room becomes her bedroom. She can use the entry at the rear, which brings her on level. We couldn't change the front because of heritage. And then in the future, she could have a carer that uses upstairs as her flat, his or her flat, or it could be, she could decide to rent that out and have a housemate. But importantly, when we have these discussions with clients, one of the first things that pops up is a lift. I want to age in place, therefore I need a lift. And we actually really try to critically work our way through that, especially on smaller blocks, because it's a huge amount of money that's rarely ever used. What is the actual benefit of that? And how much space does it take up? And that's why I think we really resolved it here, living on one level. In terms of how it sits in its fabric, beautiful heritage place. So we've done the pitched roof so it really fits in, and we've avoided doing the boxer texture just tacked onto the back. In terms of how it sits, which works really well in terms of visual bulk from the backyards as well. Stephen Welsh was designing the house to the east at the same time, and he asked for drawings. We thought, oh, cool, maybe we'll have these little discussions, but instead he strangely kind of just lent his building against ours. Just fine, each of their own. And then we screened one side because there was really prominent views to and from the backyard. So grab rails, just thinking about how she uses it over time. We didn't upgrade the insulation in the old house, so putting a door there because it's much more thermally efficient in the new part of the house. Really resilient, wet areas, which would be great in terms of managing it into the future. The guest bedroom and the little window seat that looks into the shared courtyard. And then crazy paving on the link between the new and the old, so it really feels like it's part of that outdoor courtyard area. And the way that the corner then kind of peels away so that the kitchen melts into that courtyard space. Looking back towards the old. And then stacking all of the storage under the stair, and as we often do, a sliding splashback, so the toaster and the kettle and things like that are all plugged in. You can just drop them down, but then you can get them out of the way so they don't just take up bench space. And then everything really functional and easy to use as you get older, but then also can just be hidden away. And then as we head out the back, really resilient garden, but a flowering garden was really important to her. And this was a great moment, sort of just saying to the bricklayer, stop, leave it snotty. We want snotty brick. Which turned out really beautifully. And then the beautiful screen that deals, adds shadow, becomes the sort of passive solar line for downstairs as well, and deals with some of the privacy issues coming from Stefan's building. And then the laundry at the back of the property. And then just these beautiful glimpses from the laneway and the other neighbours, and the beautiful changing light through the screen are just delightful throughout the year. And then going upstairs, you've got the choir room, or sort of her whole open space upstairs, which has this great connection with borrowed landscape, with this timber box in the middle, which is storage in a bathroom, and then this modesty screen, so she can just hide her mess in her bedroom if she brings people up for choir practice.
1 minute remaining.
Thank you. And then as we do with internalised spaces, the idea that it's the flesh, that you come in through this beautiful box and it's got her favourite colour in her bathroom upstairs as well. And that's Jane's house at Yarra Bend.